You should retire as soon as you can. I'm a financial advisor. I have been doing this for over 20 years. I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of meetings with clients. And at some point, we've all been answering the question, when can I retire? And in this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should retire as soon as you can. And now, this is under the assumption that you don't love your job or you don't get a ton of fulfillment from your job. This is not everybody. Some people, they love what they do, they have flexibility, and they can do their job when they want to do it on their own terms. And so retirement may have a different meaning. So who this is for is those that say, hey, my job is relatively time constraining. I can't do what I want with who I want, how I want. And so retirement means I want to move to the next stage where I get to enjoy my life more. And so let's get to those reasons. And so reason number 1 is the quantity of time you have is fixed. Now, we don't know how much time we have, but we do know the more time we spend working, the less time you're spending on things that you want to do. So I have this chart in my office. Now, it's called Your Life in Weeks. It's by a guy named Tim Urban. He also wrote an article called The Tail End, which is a fantastic way to think about the time you spend doing the things you want and with those that you love. Now, each week represents a week in your life. Everyone can go and figure out where they are, but the important thing when I look at this chart is to realize I never know when I get to check my last box, and neither do you. And how do we make the best use of each of the boxes that we do have? And so the quantity of the time is not going to get any better than it is today, and is an important reason to consider retiring as soon as you can. Your quantity is always going down of the time that you have. And number 2 is the quality of your life is not necessarily going to increase from here. So in other words, the quality of your health. So I've had dozens or more conversations with clients about the seasonality of different times through your retirement. And so you've heard, or I've heard it sometimes called the go-go, the slow-go, and the no-go years. And so in the beginning, you have a lot more energy, you have higher health, there are different things that you can do. Then you get into the slow-go, which means you may not have as much energy, it may be more difficult to get around. And the no-go, it's just difficult to do the things that you've wanted to do. And looking at retiring as soon as you can, you're able to take advantage of the earlier years when you have more energy to do the things that you want to do and check off some of those things on the bucket list, maybe more active, maybe more travel, some things that are going to be more difficult down the road. And so number 1 is quantity, but number 2 is the quality of your time is going to be changing the longer that you wait. Now number 3, so you've got your quantity, you've got your quality for yourself, but number 3 is the timelines are also changing for your important relationships. And so most of the time when clients retire or people retire, they're looking at spending time with their friends or their children or their grandchildren. And so look at the ages and look at the stages or the seasons that those people are in now. And realize that the longer you wait, those seasons are going to change. So I have an 8-year-old daughter at home, and I can already tell you, she's already starting to get a little tired of listening to dad. So seasons will continue to change, and your kids and grandkids will continue to get older, and some of those things that you may want to do with them or with friends, the availability and the windows are going to be closing. And so the relationships that you have are going to be changing. And so it's important that if there's things that you want to do it sooner rather than later, which is number 3 for the reasons you want to retire as soon as you can. Okay, so number 4. The 4th reason you should retire as soon as you can is you're probably already ready. So what I mean by that is if you're looking for the perfect time to retire, where you know you're going to have enough money no matter what happens, it's never going to happen. I've been doing this, again, for 20 years. I've had thousands of these meetings. There is no perfect time to retire. Now, if you're watching this video, you're already on number 4, you've committed some time, this is clearly important to you, which tells me, more than likely, you have been diligent about saving. You've been diligent about thinking how much you can spend, and you have a reasonable grasp on your money. And you're trying to go from good to great here when it comes to retirement. And what I will tell you is there is never a perfect time to retire in the sense of there is a 100% chance that everything is going to go well, everything's going to be perfect. The important thing is when you're looking at any version of a retirement income plan is to realize that flexibility is important. I've talked about this in other videos. There's going to be up markets, there's going to be down markets. The ability to adjust and the ability to be flexible during those times is going to have a huge impact on your ability to stay happy in retirement. And so number 4 is realistically, you're never going to be 100% at the perfect time to retire. And if you feel like you've done a prudent job saving, you have a prudent understanding of your expenses, more than likely, look at your retirement plan and you're going to be okay. Now, number 5, as a follow-up to you're probably going to be okay, number 5 is this is actually a pretty good time to look at retirement. Now, why is that? Well, we're at 2023. We're almost done with 2023. The market is fine. But most importantly, one of the big components of retirement income is fixed income or safety and bonds. Now, 2 or 3 years ago, the bond market was not so great if you wanted to retire with interest rates near 0%. It was incredibly difficult to say, hey, I'm going to put an allocation of my funds in safe money earning 1 or 2%. Turned out to not be a really great idea. But now you can get safe, air quote, money at around 5%. This is a very different environment when you're talking about locking in longer rates of returns at a higher interest rate than only a couple of years ago. And so number 5, it's actually a pretty good time to look at retirement. And so let's go back through these 5 numbers. Number 1, the quantity of your time is not going up from here. It is only going down. Every week in that Life in Weeks box is getting checked is one more week you are not checking something off your bucket list. Number 2, the quality or your health is probably not going to be dramatically improving from here. And so some of those things, whether it's exploring the Galapagos Islands or going on a hiking trip or doing whatever that requires a higher level of activity or engagement, is going to be more difficult as time goes on. Number 3, the time spent with others. Others are going through season changes as well. And so if you're dealing with friends, you want to be doing those things before they have health issues, or your kids or grandkids, doing the things with them when they're in the stage they're at today is going to change over time. And so the ability to spend time with those that you love in this season is all that much more important. Number 4, if you're watching this video again, this is important to you and you've probably spent time saving, figuring out how much you can spend, all those other items, you're probably going to be okay. And it's important to maintain a flexible retirement income plan where you know what you can spend in different environments and then say, let's do it. And then be flexible along the way, because the one thing about the future is it is totally unknown. That's why they call it the future. So be flexible and go into it with a prudent plan. And number 5, this is a much better time to retire than even a couple of years ago when interest rates were basically 0. Now they're dramatically higher, around 5. That is not a guarantee that everything is going to be great. However, it does change the math when interest rates go this much higher, and keeping money in safety or safe income buckets now has a dramatically different impact on your retirement income plan. And so right now is not a bad time to consider it, in particular with all those other items that we discussed: quantity, quality, time with friends, and you never have a perfect time to retire. So I hope you found this helpful. And as always, thanks for investing your time with the Personal CFO.